How to make over $50,000 per month with a small YouTube channel. Now, before you click off, listen. Something that a lot of people misunderstand when it comes to YouTube is that smaller channels are better than bigger channels when it comes to converting and making money. We're not talking about views here, we're talking about conversions. Now, before we even carry on, why should you listen to me? Who is this guy? He doesn't have a lot of subscribers or anything. Well, I have a long form content agency and I've worked with some of the biggest names in the online space, people with millions of followers making hundreds of thousands of dollars every single month. And here are some of our results. As you can see, money coming in, subscribers, views, everything. Now, what you'll learn by watching this video, and I really recommend that you get a pen and paper out because we are going to go through quite a few things. Let me just show you. We're going to cover all of this. So yeah, we got a lot of information to cover today. It shouldn't take too long though, but let's get into it. So what you will learn by watching this video: why smaller YouTube channels often convert better than bigger ones, how YouTube actually tests and distributes videos regardless of channel size, the real reason YouTuber subscriber count has almost no impact on booking calls, how search intent gives small creators an unfair advantage, why focus channels outperform broad personal brand channels, how viewer psychology changes when watching small versus large creators, the biggest mistake small channels make when trying to look big, why copying large creators usually kills conversion, how to structure your videos so that each one has a clear business purpose, what to focus on instead of views if your goal is clients and revenue, and then finally, how to turn YouTube into a system instead of a guessing game, because most small channels right now, they just copy the biggest creators and they hope that they get a lot of views. They don't even think about conversions, which is the biggest mistake. But let's get into it. So why smaller YouTube channels often convert better than bigger ones? As you can see, I just wanted to show you these two pictures. Iman Gadzi right here, you definitely know who he is. He has his main YouTube channel at 5.82 million subscribers. Now, there's a very good reason as to why he made a business channel, a separate channel, because he wants a smaller YouTube channel to get the benefits that I'm going to speak about in this video today. So, this is going to sound counterintuitive, but some of the fastest growing and highest converting YouTube channels right now are not the biggest ones. In fact, in many cases, small YouTube channels massively outperform larger channels when it comes to booking calls, selling offers, and turning viewers into actual buyers. Now, something you might have seen recently on YouTube is that on the recommended page, there is a lot more videos going up from smaller channels that are outliers, which means they've got a lot more viewers on their videos than they do subscribers. And once again, we're going to get into more reasons as to why that happens, but YouTube has made a change now too. And the reason for that has nothing to do with luck, the algorithm, or production quality. It has everything to do with how YouTube actually works when your goal is business growth and not vanity metrics. Most people assume bigger channels automatically win, which obviously isn't true. They have more subscribers, more views, more authority, and more money. That assumption is exactly why so many creators stay stuck. And it's also why a lot of small channels don't carry on posting on YouTube, because they compare themselves to large entertainment creators like Mr. Beast, and they think to themselves, why am I not getting the views? I'm not going to make any money if I'm not getting the views. But they chase scale before they build any leverage. They copy what big creators are doing without understanding why it works for them and why it actively hurts smaller channels trying to grow an offer. What I want to do in this video is break down why small channels often have a massive advantage, why that advantage disappears once channels grow if they do not adjust their strategy, and how you can intentionally design your YouTube around this advantage instead of fighting against it. Because once you see this clearly, you stop obsessing over subscriber counts and start focusing on the things that actually move the needle. So the first thing you need to understand is that YouTube does not reward size, it rewards relevance. A lot of people hear that, but they do not actually internalize what it means. YouTube is not pushing videos because a channel is big. It's pushing videos because a specific piece of content satisfies a very specific viewer intent better than the alternatives available at that moment. Small channels are often far more relevant than big ones because they're usually more focused. A small channel typically talks to one type of person about one type of problem, and a big channel often talks to many different segments at once. From an algorithm perspective, that focus is incredibly powerful, and it's what you want to use to your advantage. If you're a small channel, talk directly to the people, your ICP, that you want to speak to. Not only will you convert better, but the algorithm will push your videos out more. Something like this, what this guy's doing here. How I made 4.5k copy and pasting YouTube shorts. It's a clear title. Whoever sees that video is going to know if they want to click on it already. They know exactly what it's about. So when a small channel publishes a video that perfectly matches a search query or a specific browse intent, YouTube does not care that the channel has 500 subscribers. If the early viewers respond well, if they click, if they watch, and if they do not bounce, the platform will continue to test that video. And that is why you see channels with a few thousand subscribers outrank channels with hundreds of thousands of subscribers on highly valuable search terms. The problem is that most creators do not build their channel to take advantage of this. They think their job is to become a personality first and a solution second, when it's actually the other way around. That approach works if your goal is fame. It does not work if your goal is clients. Small channels win because they're closer to the problem. When someone is early in their YouTube journey, they're usually still deeply involved in their niche, which is a good thing. They're talking to clients every day, they're hearing objections, they're seeing where people get confused, they know exactly what questions keep coming up, and that proximity creates precision. And once again, it's exactly what you need if you're a small channel, and you need to take advantage of it. Big channels often lose that precision over time. As they scale, their content becomes broader. They start optimizing for reach instead of resolution. They talk in generalities. They avoid specifics because specifics reduce audience size. And that is great for views, but it's terrible for conversions. And we're going to get into this later as well. But this is why views don't mean anything on YouTube. You can get 100 views and make more money than someone that averages 10,000 views. And we've seen that in our own agency too. So a small channel can make a video titled exactly what their ideal buyer is typing into YouTube. Not a clever title, not a vague title, an exact one. That alone gives them an edge. The viewer feels understood immediately. They feel like the video was made for them. And that feeling is what creates trust before a single word is spoken. Now, another reason that channels outperform is expectation management. When someone clicks a video from a massive creator, they often expect entertainment, inspiration, or surface level insight, or in my own opinion, they expect all three of those things. For example, if you click on a video that has a thumbnail like this, you know exactly who he is, obviously Iman Gadzi once again. When they click on a video from a smaller channel, especially one that looks niche and specific, they expect help. That expectation changes how they watch. So once again, if you go on his business channel, you can see his thumbnails aren't as heavy as the other ones. It's just natural thumbnails. So people won't expect as much. Although his face is very well known, they still won't expect as much as they would from his main channel when it comes to entertainment and things like that, which is once again why he did that. So viewers are far more forgiving with small channels. They watch longer, they pay closer attention, they're more open to learning, and that increases average view duration, which increases distribution, which creates a positive feedback loop that has nothing to do with subscriber count. So stop looking at your subscriber count, stop looking at your views. They don't matter. Small channels also tend to make fewer videos, but with more intent. A big channel might upload consistently to feed the algorithm. A small channel usually uploads when they have something to say, and that intentionality often leads to a better structured video, clearer messaging, and more deliberate call to actions. Once again, it's just clear messaging. That is where the biggest mistake happens. Most small creators try to act big too early. They copy high-level formats, long intros, cinematic edits, storytelling that has nothing to do with the problem that the viewer came to solve. In doing so, they throw away the very advantage that they have. They're copying the biggest creators, trying to do what they're doing. Obviously, that's not going to work. And like I just said, they throw away the advantage that they have. So the goal of a small channel is not to look big. It's to feel useful. The fastest growing small channels are not trying to impress. They're trying to resolve tension. They get to the point quickly. They speak directly. They remove fluff, and they respect the viewer's time. This is also why small channels convert better when they actually route traffic correctly. A small channel does not need millions of views. It needs the right 100 people watching the right video. When a channel understands that, every video becomes a part of a system instead of a standalone piece of content. Now, this is what we do for all our clients as well. I'm not pitching, don't worry. I'm just saying you want it to all be a system rather than a standalone piece. If you're posting just one video, which is just to get views, it's not going to do anything for you. If you post weekly, but it's more structured videos, it's got clearer messaging, then you make it into a system that actually converts people. And once again, you only need a few hundred views to make a lot of money with YouTube. So why it's my favorite platform that there is. And this is where most people misunderstand what growth actually looks like. Growth is not linear. It's not slow at first and then fast later. Growth happens in jumps when relevance clicks. Small channels are far more likely to experience those jumps because they're not diluted by competing messages. At this stage, what matters is not how many people see your videos. What matters is who sees them and what they do after, and that is the entire game. If you get that right early, size becomes a byproduct instead of a goal. Now, in the next part, I'm going to break down the exact structural reasons why channels outperform bigger ones in search, in browse, and in suggested, and why most creators accidentally sabotage themselves the moment they start seeing traction. So, the next reason why small YouTube channels outperform bigger ones comes down to how YouTube actually evaluates content during the early testing phase, because this is something almost nobody talks about correctly. When a video is first published, YouTube does not blast it to your entire subscriber base or to millions of people to see what happens. It tests it in very small controlled pockets of viewers, and in those early tests, smaller channels often have an unfair advantage once again. When a small channel uploads a video, YouTube usually shows it to a very tight group of viewers who are highly aligned with that topic. That might be people who have recently searched for similar content, watched related videos, or engaged deeply with that niche before. Because the audience is so specific, the feedback YouTube gets is cleaner. Click-through rate is clearer, watch time signals are clearer, engagement patterns are clearer. Compare that to a large channel. When a big channel uploads, YouTube often pushes the video to a much broader segment of subscribers right away. Not all of those subscribers are equally interested in that specific topic. Some subscribed years ago, some came from a viral short, some follow for entertainment, not education, and that mixed audience creates noisy data. Lower click-through rate, lower retention, more drop-offs. The algorithm does not know if the video is bad or if it's simply being shown to the wrong people, and that is when a YouTube video starts doing badly. So this is why you'll sometimes see a small channel upload a video and it slowly, steadily climbs over weeks or months, while a big channel uploads something that spikes and then it dies. The small channel is feeding YouTube clear signals. The big channel is feeding YouTube conflicting ones. Now, another massive factor is content positioning. Small channels almost always position themselves around a specific problem. Big channels position themselves around a brand. A small channel might be the channel that helps coaches turn YouTube into a booked course, and a big channel might be the channel that talks about business, mindset, lifestyle, and growth in general. One of those is immediately useful, the other is broad. As you can see, the big channel is obviously talking about 4, 5, 6, 7 different things, whereas the smaller channel is talking about one thing. And obviously, once again, the right people that you want to click on your videos will, because if the title is correct, the packaging is correct, that's all you need. A few hundred viewers, that is your ICP. That's exactly what you need. Now, when a viewer lands on a small channel and watches one video, YouTube has a much easier time deciding what to show them next. The next video is similar, the next topic is related, the next message builds on the previous one. That increases session time, which is one of the most underrated signals on the platform. Session time matters more than people realize. YouTube wants viewers to stay on YouTube. Channels that naturally chain attention perform better over time. Small focused channels do this almost accidentally because everything they publish is aligned. Big channels often struggle with this because their content is diverse. A video about one topic might not naturally lead into the next. Viewers drop off, sessions end, the algorithm quietly deprioritizes future videos as a result. There's also a psychological element at play that almost no one acknowledges. Viewers trust small channels differently. When someone watches a smaller creator talk about a problem that they're actively experiencing, it feels more personal. It feels like advice, not broadcasting. The absence of polish often increases credibility rather than reducing it. Now, think about this. If you're joining a program or a mentorship and this creator has 10,000 people inside the mentorship and this person has 100, a lot of the time you're going to want to join the one that has 100 people in the mentorship because you're going to get more one-on-one support. It feels more personal. Same thing goes with the YouTube. Big channels can also feel distant. Produced package that is great for entertainment, it's not always great for persuasion. Small channels feel closer, more real. That closeness is what turns viewers into leads, especially in coaching, consulting, and service-based businesses. This is why you'll see small channels with incredibly modest view counts consistently booking calls, while massive channels struggle to monetize beyond ads and sponsorships. The audience relationship is different. Small channels are also more likely to speak directly to the viewer. They use language like you instead of everyone. They address objections explicitly. They answer specific questions. They talk like they're on a sales call, not a stage. That language pattern creates connection. Most big creators are trained out of this. They're taught to avoid friction, avoid specificity, avoid excluding anyone. That makes sense when your income is tied to reach. It does not make sense when your income is tied to conversion. Now, by now, you can probably already see why it's not a good idea to copy big channels if you have a small channel. And as you can see, I just wanted to add this picture. When you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. We're coming towards the end now, but here is where this becomes really important for you. If you're a smaller channel and you're not seeing results, it's almost never because you're too small. It's because you're using a strategy designed for someone who is too big. You're posting broad topics, you're avoiding clear positioning, you're hiding your call to action until the very end, you're trying to build an audience before you build a system, and that is backwards. At this point in the video, it's worth saying this clearly. If your goal is to turn YouTube into a client acquisition channel, you do not need to wait until you're bigger. In fact, waiting often makes it harder. This is exactly why when people ask us how to grow on YouTube, we do not start with growth tactics. We start with structure, we start with topic selection, we start with packaging, we start with where the video is sending traffic, because once that foundation is in place, size amplifies it instead of masking problems. If you want to understand how this works in practice and how we structure this end to end so creators do not have to guess, the first link is in the description and it breaks down the entire system that we use in about 5 minutes. It shows how we handle everything other than recording so YouTube stops feeling random and starts compounding. You can watch it later, but let's just keep going. So the next reason small channels outperform is because they're not trapped by audience expectations yet. A big channel is often boxed in by what their audience expects from them. If they pivot too hard, retention drops, comments turn negative, metrics suffer, so they stay safe. Small channels do not have that constraint. They can adapt fast, they can test aggressively, they can shift messages without backlash. That flexibility is incredibly powerful, especially in fast-moving niches like business, fitness, and online education. Most creators underestimate how dangerously early success can be. A video pops, the creator repeats it, the channel becomes one-dimensional. When that format stops working, they're stuck. Small channels that think in systems instead of formats avoid this trap. There's also there is also a huge operational advantage. Small creators can afford to be patient. They can let a video age, they can allow search traffic to build. They're not under pressure to perform immediately, where big channels often are. Some of the highest performing videos on YouTube did not perform well in the first week. They performed well over the first year. Small channels benefit from this because they're not judged internally on short-term spikes. They're judged on whether the video eventually does what it's supposed to do. This is especially true for search-based content. Search videos are slow burners. Big channels often abandon them too early, whereas small channels lean into them, and you should lean into them. Now, in the next part, I'm going to explain why most creators sabotage this advantage the moment they see growth and how to avoid the exact mistakes that turn a high leverage channel into a low converting one. So the final reason that small YouTube channels outperform bigger ones is the most important one, and it ties everything together. Small channels are forced to think in terms of leverage, while big channels often rely on momentum. When you're small, every video has to earn its place. It has to serve a purpose. It has to either attract the right viewer, build belief, or move someone closer to action. There's no room for filler. There's no room for vanity content. There's no room for posting just to post. Big channels, especially ones that grew quickly, often lose this discipline. They can afford to publish content that does nothing for the business because reach covers the inefficiency, but inefficiency compounds in the wrong direction. Views go up while results stay flat. Engagement looks healthy, but revenue lags behind. The channel feels busy, but unproductive. Small channels feel the pain immediately. If a video does not work, they feel it. If a topic misses, they know. If a call to action is weak, nothing happens. That feedback loop is brutal, but it's also what creates clarity. Small channels learn faster because they have to. But this is why you shouldn't quit if a video doesn't do well. You take that feedback loop, you realize what didn't work, and you move on to the next thing because you have that freedom to change video ideas. Whereas, once again, big channels don't have that. So this is why so many creators hit a ceiling once they grow. They never learned how to make each video pull its weight. They learned how to ride momentum, not how to build systems. When momentum slows, they panic. So if you're sitting here thinking that your channel is broken because you're not getting enough views, the truth is probably the opposite. You're early, you're flexible, and you are close to your audience. You're in the exact position where YouTube is the easiest to turn into leverage if you stop copying strategies that were never built for you. If you're serious about turning your channel into something that compounds, not just something that grows, this is the point where structure matters more than scale. This is the point where clarity beats creativity. This is the point where doing fewer things correctly beats doing everything inconsistently. And this is exactly why small channels, when they're run properly, quietly outperform channels 10 times their size. That sets the foundation for everything you need to understand before deciding what to do next. But if there's one thing that I want you to take away from this video, it's this: YouTube does not reward size, it rewards clarity, it rewards relevance, it rewards creators who understand exactly who they're speaking to, why those people clicked, and what problem they're trying to solve at that moment. Small channels outperform bigger ones because they're closer to the problem, they're closer to the audience. They're forced to be intentional. They cannot hide behind brand recognition, algorithm momentum, or entertainment fluff. Every video has to earn attention, build trust, and move someone forward. The mistake that most creators make is assuming growth comes first and structure comes later. In reality, it's the opposite. Structure creates growth, systems create momentum, and once those systems are in place, scale becomes a byproduct instead of a struggle. So if your channel feels stuck, it's probably not because you're too small. It's probably because you're playing a game that wasn't designed for you yet. The moment you stop copying what big creators do and start building for how buyers actually behave, everything changes. Views become more meaningful, comments become more specific, and the people reaching out to you stop asking general questions and start asking how to work with you. That's the difference between content that looks good and content that actually works. You don't need to be bigger, you need to be sharper.